Most people believe they are in control of their spending. They believe that every dollar, euro, or pound that leave their bank account is a conscious choice made to improve their own well-being. But if you look closely at the average professional's driveway, their wardrobe, or their kitchen counters, a different story begins to emerge. It's a story of a silent, invisible competition. Think about the last significant purchase you made. Perhaps it was a car, a watch, or even a specific brand of kitchen appliance. Now, ask yourself, if you lived on a private island and no one would ever see that item, would you still have bought it? For most of us, if we are being brutally honest, the answer is no. We are living in an era where we don't just buy products, we buy social proof. We are spending a terrifying amount of our limited life energy to manage the perceptions of people who, quite frankly, aren't even paying attention to us. Today, we're going to look at the math and the psychology of why we buy things we don't even like, just to impress people we don't even know. Let's look at a typical scenario for a young professional in a city like Chicago, London, or Munich. Meet Thomas. He's 32, works in mid-level management, and earns a respectable $85,000 a year. After federal and state taxes, health insurance, and 401k contributions, his take-home pay is roughly $5,200 a month. On paper, Thomas is doing great. He's in the top 15% of earners globally. But look at his outgoings. First, there's the apartment. He could live in a perfectly safe, comfortable area for $1,600. Instead, he pays $2,300 to live in a premium glass tower downtown. Why? Because when he invites colleagues over, the lobby sends a message. Then there's the car. Thomas doesn't enjoy driving that much. He spends most of his commute in stop-and-go traffic. Yet, he pays $700 a month for a financed European luxury sedan. Add $200 for insurance and $150 for fuel. That's over $1,000 a month, nearly 20% of his take-home pay, just to sit in traffic in a leather seat with a specific badge on the steering wheel. When you add in the $500 for high-end groceries, the $400 for networking dinners, and the $300 for the latest tech and clothing to stay relevant, Thomas is left with less than $500 at the end of the month. He is one bad Tuesday away from a financial crisis. He isn't buying comfort. He is buying a costume. He is paying a $3,000 monthly status tax to convince the world he has already made it, while his bank account proves he hasn't even started. The mistake Thomas is making, and perhaps many of us are making, is that we see prices in currency, but we should see them in time. Let's do the math. If Thomas takes home $5,200 a month and works 160 hours, his real hourly wage is $32.50. That $700 car payment isn't $700. It's 21.5 hours of his life. Every single month, Thomas spends nearly 3 full work days, sitting at his desk, dealing with stress, answering emails, strictly to pay for the metal box in his driveway. Over a 5-year loan, that's 1,290 hours of his life. That is over half a year of 40-hour work weeks dedicated to a depreciating asset that he only bought because his boss and his neighbors drive something similar. The system flaw here is lifestyle inflation, but the psychological driver is social comparison theory. Humans are tribal. For thousands of years, being at the bottom of the tribe meant you were at risk. Today, we don't fear predators, but we fear the low-status label. We use credit cards to bridge the gap between who we are and who we want people to think we are. We use EMIs and buy now, pay later schemes to subsidize a lie. The tragedy is that the people Thomas is trying to impress are too busy trying to impress him with their finance cars and their overpriced apartments. It's a circle of people all pretending to be richer than they are, all while being equally stressed behind closed doors. Why do we do this? Why do we buy things we don't even like? The answer lies in a concept called dopamine-driven consumption. When we buy something new, our brain gives us a hit of dopamine, but it's fleeting. It lasts for a day, maybe a week. Then, the hedonic treadmill kicks in. The new car becomes just the car. The luxury watch becomes just the watch. To get that same feeling of status and excitement, we have to level up again. This is why a person earning $50,000 feels broke, and the person earning $150,000 feels just as broke. They have simply traded a Toyota for a Porsche, but the internal feeling of not enough remains identical. There's also the invisible audience phenomenon. We overestimate how much people care about our choices. We think the waiter at the restaurant cares about the car we use to pay. We think the person at the red light is admiring our rims. In reality, everyone is the protagonist of their own movie. They aren't looking at you. They are wondering if you're looking at them. We are sacrificing our long-term security for a momentary glance from a stranger who will forget we exist in 30 seconds. That is a terrible trade. Now, let's look at how the financially intelligent, the people who actually build wealth, behave. They have a different definition of status. To them, status isn't the ability to buy things. Status is the ability to walk away. Wealthy people, the ones who stay wealthy, understand that every dollar spent on a status symbol is a dollar that cannot be invested. If Thomas had taken that $700 car payment and invested it into a low-cost index fund for those 5 years, assuming a modest 7% return, he would have nearly $50,000. Instead, at the end of 5 years, he has a used car worth $20,000 and zero in savings. Financially intelligent people prioritize autonomy over appearance. They buy clothes that are comfortable, cars that are reliable, and homes that are functional. They don't seek to be the richest-looking person in the room. They seek to be the person in the room with the most options. When you stop caring about the opinions of people you don't even like, your cost of living plummets. Your stress levels drop. Your savings rate skyrockets. You realize that the most expensive thing you can buy is the freedom to do whatever you want with your Tuesday morning. You cannot buy that at a dealership. Becoming financially independent doesn't require a genius-level IQ or $1 million inheritance. It requires the emotional maturity to be uncool. It requires you to be okay with driving the older car while your friends lease the new ones. It requires you to be okay with saying no to the expensive dinner because it doesn't align with your goals. The next time you're tempted to make a purchase, ask yourself, is this for me or is this for them? If you didn't have a social media account, and if you never saw these people again, would you still want this item? Wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, and the renovations deferred. It's the peace of mind that comes from knowing that if your job disappeared tomorrow, your life wouldn't fall apart. Don't spend your life energy building a museum of things to impress people who aren't even looking. Build a life that you actually enjoy living when the lights are off and the audience is gone. If this perspective on money psychology was helpful to you, consider subscribing. We'll be continuing this conversation on how to actually build a life of substance in a world of shadows. Thank you for your time.